Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to Minority Caucus. My name is Nana Kofi Opondamo, and this is the platform that the NPP uses to share its opinions on matters and topical issues as exist in the country today. Today I have with me in the studio a very important and very interesting guest, and we are going to be looking at the Supreme Court petition of the NPP. So far, the case has traveled a very long distance. It's long haul. We are expecting that the addresses will be presented before the courts very soon, and then finally a judgment. As the entire nation prepares itself and its mindset for the final judgment, what exactly have we gone through in all of this process, especially for those that were not in the country but are Ghanaians? So for our brothers who were not in Ghana but still managed to follow the case, exactly what were their opinions about this? And then we will discuss this particular matter within that context as it exists. But with me in the studio today, we have Salam Mustafa, who is also a member of the NPP communications team, a very known face. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
Nice to have you once again. And then we have Nana Otu Texan, NPP Midlands chapter, United Kingdom. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much.
How has it been, Midlands chapter? How has it been so far?
Well, it's been well. We have actually, you would have thought that since we did not actually win when we ought to have won, our numbers would have dwindled. But there is more activity and everybody is really keen and poised for the Supreme Court and what it does. We have been organizing ourselves from 2008 thereabouts, because there was the difficulty in traveling down south to London for meetings and all that. We have members of over 200, and we have had the advantage of actually meeting Nanado and some of the party executives when they have been in Birmingham to attend the Conservative Party conferences over a couple of years. Last year we had Nanado over in St. George's Community Hall, where we really had a lot of people turn up, over 600 people, where he told us his dream and everything, and we knew that the county was ready for such a visionary leader, and we put our weight behind him. We have decided in the Midlands specifically to actually take constituencies, rather than go into constituencies and give money to the candidates or other functionaries. We adopted 2 constituencies, which at the time had not been our constituencies prior to the elections, being Yagbakobori and Ajura. And thankfully, we won those 2 constituencies. So it is one thing as well which the Midlands chapter would want to sell to the party at large, that if we have any help, we should go to these constituencies which we have sometimes termed as orphan constituencies, or places where we have not actually cemented our wins to actually make the inroads and get it into the party.
Okay, now let me ask you this very interesting question. You're not in the country. I mean, members of the NPP that are outside this country, what is the level of political activism amongst them? One would expect that, well, you're out of the country, and so you would sit back and relax.
You'd be surprised that some of us eat and drink politics back home. I mean, for the elections, for instance, I know a lot of my members, we actually formed a group. We were monitoring the elections as much as perhaps any Ghanaian would. Because even though we are abroad, we actually have the feeling and knowledge that we're only there. I for one would say I'm a pilgrim. I'm just passing through, and Ghana would always be home. And therefore we keep ourselves abreast. We follow the elections. We follow the petition, and that is one thing we're very thankful for, the live telecast of the court proceedings, because then it is taking out the propaganda of the other side, which would have come to tell us the lies, which would have fed into other things. We now can hear and see what is actually going on, and we can understand and appreciate the matters ourselves. So we are very much in tune, just like anybody else.
So what mediums do you use to stay in touch with politics in Ghana?
Well, the internet, the wonder of the internet, and the internet radio stations as well. And obviously, because we have friends and family, and we almost constantly or occasionally remit them and speak to them and find out how they're doing. And I think ultimately our zeal is to make sure that people in Ghana or our relatives do well enough that we don't have to perhaps continually support, for those of them who continually support their families back home. And this is a big worry, that now if you look at the state of a country and how things are going, we know the country is broke. I think there's more pressure and burden on some of our members in the diaspora to actually remit people back home. This was not the case when President Kufuor was with us, because the economy was booming. You know, people were being chased left, right, center with loans. Now you can't even have it if you have a legitimate business. So this is our concern, and this is why we are passionate about the NPP, and we are passionate about what it brings Ghana, better fortunes and better livelihood for everybody.
Okay. I'm amazed at the level of political activism that you've just told me about right now. I think it's a very interesting thing. But Salam, what are your thoughts on what he just said?
Well, very well. Let me say a very good evening to the viewers of Minority Caucus and all of our party folks. I, completely side with my brother. I think for anybody who has traveled outside Ghana and met people within the Ghanaian community would understand the level of interest back home. They do really, really keep communication and everything back home. You see, invariably, whatever happens in Ghana affects, our compatriots out there because they are an integral part of us here. The economic hardships that we are facing here is somehow extended to them because family, friends keep, asking them for favors and try to find ways and means to live and thereby drawing them into the picture. So it is very normal and natural that they would keep with pace as to what happens in Ghana, and it is no surprise at all. Some time ago, I was in Hamburg, and it was amazing. Hamburg looks like probably Nima. It's a Ghanaian community. And, when you meet anybody, you talk normally, and the next thing is you're talking about what happens in the country. And that's what arises the interest in politics. Where our people are concerned, naturally, everybody else's interest would be there. And I can understand why brothers in the diaspora would keep an eye on what is happening here in the country. Indeed, like I have said, the pressure is even much more on them because the assumption is that those who live abroad are much more well-to-do than us here. And therefore, immediately, the brunt of government begins to hit hard at the people. The next people we run to are the diasporans, and sometimes we put excessive pressure on them. But by and large, if you look at our economy and the impact of foreign direct investment, FDI, you see that it's huge. The contribution of our compatriots out there is very huge, and it all shows their interest back home. And therefore, to the extent that they would be involved in our politics, it's very understandable and it should be encouraged.
Okay. Now, I think that you have to join me in thanking them, not just the UK Midlands chapter, but all the foreign chapters of the MPP. Yeah, for the work that they continue to do. We are very grateful to you, and we hope that the good Lord will continue to bless you and bless the work of your hands. Now, let's look at the Supreme Court petition from your context, from your point of view. When you initially heard that the elections had been lost by the MPP and were contemplating going to court, what was the mood among your people?
I think it was one of relief, because we all expected that the party would win. And as it turned out, however it got to that stage, we hadn't won. And as well, obviously, hadn't been taunted by the Electoral Commission to say, if you've got the evidence, if you think you're right, go to court. We were very happy, because in the jurisdictions where we live, it is rather celebrated that people go to court to actually assert their rights. There are some aspects of every law in any country that is not tested, because whoever drafts the law does not actually have the foresight to cover everything that there is. So for us, our initial happiness was to test the law, because this law had not been tested before. I mean, there are further commentaries as this case has gone on, which is the time frame which it takes, and how, if it is somebody's presidency which you're affecting, how long it takes for that error to be corrected. So we were very happy that this came about, and we all put our weight behind it. At work during the day, we would all follow and see. We've followed everything that has come with this case. As well, we were very happy that the Chief Justice allowed this to be broadcast, because I think that initially there were commentaries, and I believe our brother Gabi and some institutions were very instrumental in this. We have been able to then follow the case as it's gone on. There are slight differences in procedure, which for some of us in common law jurisdictions thought could have been done differently. But here we are, it has been done. it might not necessarily have inured to our benefit as a party or our people in there. And also as well, we picked up from Dr. Bawumia especially that he had really done a sterling job. He knew what he was talking about. He had all the evidence, and he had put it as best as he did. But critically, he went beyond what he had to do. We, as laymen, as a party group, obviously looking at the point that these cases could only be brought by individuals, felt that Dr. Bawumia wasn't even obliged to go into the arena of talking about what the party did. You and I could have taken this case on, and we don't know what a party agent does. So he could have simply stood in the box and just said, you know what, I am not here for the party. I'm here in my personal capacity. I'm here as Mahamudu Bawumia. I'm here as Nana Akufo-Addo. I'm here as Jake, and not as party leader or party chairman or vice presidential candidate. So he went on to help our jurisprudence, to help our country to move things forward, and to actually make it show that he's really confident in his case and he knew what he was delivering. He went beyond what was actually his call of duty in this case. So that was another very happy thing for us. Ultimately, we believe that justice would serve its cause. In court, obviously, it is a forcefulness with which you put your argument across. We, in the diaspora, have obviously picked up the fact that even though we went there with evidence, and to some extent, the Electoral Commission has accepted that there were errors, they have not been able to actually punch holes in our evidence. And I believe that will very much weigh on the minds of our justices, and in the end, justice will be served for the party and the country's good.
In the end, justice will be served for the country and for the general good of all of us. That is your opinion. Again, I mean, let me just put it together for you this way. It is generally assumed that those of you in the diaspora would have a higher level of education as compared to all of us back home. You've had the evidence, you've listened to it. Do you really think that the NPP had a case?
Absolutely, because I am a lay lawyer, if I can put it that way. And so for me personally, there are things which I could glean from it. We have a good case, a very good case. And that is, I think, the propaganda and things that were going on almost made it appear as if this case is against the NDC. It's not. If anything at all, it's against the Electoral Commission and what it did or did not do. They are a statutory body.
Commissions and omissions
yes,
of
they have to do a particular thing. As to whether there was anything that influenced that is not a matter that the court will normally go into. But the facts are the facts. It is there. You have to sign a pink sheet. You did not sign. The justices will have to decide what that means. You've got to, the one which had 27-0, for instance. I don't know what number that represents in written text. So these things were there. And you cannot actually argue so much against it, unless, for instance, somebody else brought different evidence to say, well, this pink sheet which you're showing us, my lords, is not what was the correct one. It is actually been forged. That would have been a whole different thing, but I did not. All throughout this, it was more argument and posturing and the lawyers, trying to, which sometimes admittedly helps or plays a very important role in the courtroom. But in terms of evidence and facts, I do not think even us, the laymen sitting aside, can ever say that there was nothing wrong with this election.
Now, the NDC and the Electoral Commission say they have a defense and they put up a brilliant defense. Yeah. You saw their defense. What do you think?
Well, if you're trained as a lawyer, you can defend a mass murderer. That does not mean that the person didn't kill. In legal practice in England, you'll be told not to defend the person, but to almost give a mitigation speech or something that would say, I'm not saying he didn't kill, but if even he did kill, just be lenient. So I do not see NDC and Electoral Commission submissions as anything beyond that. They had to do it. They couldn't decide not to turn up and say, you have a field day. So they had to do it. But as to whether in terms of what we have submitted, they constitute evidence enough. If I give you something written on paper, which you didn't do, you have to bring something to show that, well, indeed, I did do it. If you haven't got that, it doesn't matter what you say. Personally, and for a lot of our people in the diaspora, it doesn't constitute a lot to overturn what we have submitted. The key thing now is for the justices to decide the implication of, for instance, overvoting, the implication of lack of signatures. We had a debate about this. We thought perhaps this case could have started with arguments on the legalities as to what the implications are of lack of signatures, overvoting, before going into the pink sheets. Because then that would have obviously crowded us into an arena where we know that if there's no signature, then it has to be annulled. And if it has to be annulled, then the referees who came in could have calculated and told us how many of the pink sheets fell in that category, and we could have proceeded that way. That is not obviously a criticism of the process. It's a new case. We haven't all been used to it before. We learn as we go. But we are very confident in what we've had.
Let me catch you here and bring in one straight thing. Dr. Kojafari Jan, his conduct in the witness box. Were you impressed?
I would see his submissions and what he did pretty much in the line of a lot of Ghanaian professionals. That is
the
what
man
we see.
forgot his age. That's not professional.
No. You seem to, or people seem to do the wrong thing over a period and then become experts of the wrong thing. So, and a bit of his position is also seen in the fact that he is at the top and would not necessarily see everything that is below him. But ultimately, he is responsible. And also the fact that from our lay discussions, we thought that because he didn't have an affidavit or a statement to which he had sworn and to which he was actually going to speak, he was obviously going to make, one or two errors along the line. You could see that along the line, obviously, there were things which he may not have actually known about, or he may not have appreciated the full extent of. But being in a witness box and being cross-examined is a whole different thing altogether, because you don't know the questions that are coming to you. And I can appreciate the fact that he didn't appear as convincing, in my view, as Dr. Bawumia was. It is up to the justices to decide. And I believe that these things, as experienced as the justices are, would be clear for everybody to see. That there were questions which perhaps he might not have answered, or perhaps which he was evading, which is normal, and these justices are aware of.
In your mind, you have an opinion?
Yes, I do.
Can I tease it out of you? Anyway, I'll ask you to hold on for fear of committing contempt of court. Salam, he's expressed, in clear, certain terms, what his opinions are and how he's seeing the case. What were yours? How did you see this case? Do you believe that the MPP had clearly established, that there was something wrong?
Very much so. I think right from the word go, those of us who have been involved know very well that our evidence is solid and that we had a case. Indeed, we resorting to legal jurisprudence to seek redress to what seemed as an electoral fraud is a civil way to do things than having to engage in violence and throw the country into chaos and lead to, tatters. Right from day one, when we started building evidence, the NDC kept changing posts. Oh, we can't go to court. Any idiot can go to court. We cannot get evidence. We don't have evidence. Then if we got to court, then the argument changed again. Oh, we are bad losers. Okay. Then as the case progresses, oh, bad faith. It shows you how inconsistent they have been. And throughout the trial, they have not been able to attack the analysis as we have done. All they have done is to run around the peripheries of the case, pulling agents and all that. But to attack the substance of the case, which is the analysis, not single one of them mentioned the analysis. It shows you that one thing that is incontrovertibly clear, the analysis is outstanding. And to the extent that the judges would subject the analysis to law is when the verdict would come. Indeed, I want to, somewhat agree with my brother's submission that probably the judges could have ruled on the legality of probably the categories we have put out. But I'm sure ab initio that would have been settling the case.
Prejudicial.
That would have been settling the case, because clearly then everyone would have known that this case is won or lost. So I'm sure the judges in their wisdom saw that and decided to progress, with the case as it has come so far. Indeed, we have been extremely happy that we have built a solid case. I'm not sure anywhere in the world any party has been able to interrogate the primary record of the elections to the very detail that we have. Picking up to 24,000 pink sheets and analyzing them out of the 26,000, we missed just about 2,000 or so.
Which we didn't have.
It's phenomenal, yes, which we didn't have. It's phenomenal. The primary records of the elections, right? I'm not sure that in the other cases that we have seen, even very much recently, Kenya, they didn't do this detailed job that we have done in Ghana. I keep saying that Ghana will become a reference point after the verdict is given, that people would come and learn exactly how were we able to do this. So it's a plus to us. Those of us who have been involved in this thing right from day one have had the resolve and belief that indeed we have a case. We are not bad losers. If we knew that we had lost the elections genuinely, would have accepted defeat and progressed.
And we have accepted defeat so many times.
Yes.
I mean, in 2008, political party under the Fourth Republican Constitution that has accepted defeats the most times.
Yes. With the slightest of margin in 2008, with
40,000 votes.
Just even little, under 40,000, we accepted defeat. It shows you that we are not bad losers. You'll be aware that we have set out a very elaborate system to check the results. That's why when the results went probably wayward, we're able to detect it very, very, very fast. Okay, it is because of the system we are set out to monitor the results. So when people do not understand and throw out a lot of propaganda, we cannot build evidence and blah blah, we are bad losers and so on and so forth, it's because of their lack of understanding of how we were able to track the results, to know that something had gone wrong, and therefore we would compile evidence and challenge the results in court. Indeed, and God has been so good to us. When we approached Afarijan and told him, give us 24 hours, we would bring you evidence. He said, no. If you have evidence, go to court. Indeed, the time he gave us was enough to build an Everest of evidence.
And I'm going to hold you at that stage and ask you to go to court whilst I build my evidence against him. We'll take a break at this stage, and when we come back, we'll continue with this very interesting discussion. Welcome back to Minority Caucus. So we've dealt with the Supreme Court petition, the foreign angle, and how it was seen. I believe that you also have opinions to express. So call us on 030-2211-701324. But please give me about 5 minutes to wrap up. 030-2211-701324. Text lines, as always, are 1760 all networks. 1760 all networks. And then the WhatsApp number is 0244-928-375. 0244-928-375. Let me come to your two texts. So exactly how do you see events in Ghana as of now? You have the benefit of having lived in the country and having lived and worked, I believe, in the diaspora as well. When you hear of certain things that are going on in Ghana, like the judgment debt issues and the GDA scandal, among others, how do you manage to reconcile these? And when your white friends, for instance, come to you and say, this is what's happening in your country, how do you feel?
Well, I feel very disgraced. I think ultimately it's just a matter of creating, looting, and sharing. But as I said earlier on, the disappointment is also about the professionals who are involved in these. I'll start from the Woyome scandal. Everybody in the diaspora obviously has some thought that, the country is not doing well, we went HIPIC and all those things to get us some money. And then you get this money and give to one individual. The key issue is who took him to court, which lawyer advised him, who were working in the Attorney General's department. They all seem to be walking free. Some have been given new appointments. It's as if corruption and the nonsense that goes around it, it's a joke for us. You know, we don't take it serious. And this JIDA thing that has come, it's almost MPP left a functioning youth policy to employ people, and then you come in, dress it up, perhaps in Agbada or in Kente or in Fugu or whatever, give it a new feeling, and then give it a new name. But that was just a cloak for corruption. For us, when we listen to these and we experience some of these things, our hearts bleed, because we think that there is a lot that we could do with our country. We've got the resources. We are not as poor as others. We tout the fact that we are Africa's leaders and we are the people who are championing democracy and everything. But it does appear that continually, especially with our brothers on the other side, that they would want to actually run our country's name in the gutter. And so when you are, I've got a friend, for instance, at work who sent me a text message to say, oh, I've heard this is going on. What are you guys doing about it? Sometimes you are forced to almost feign, innocence of it, because it's so disgraceful that you'd have thought that if something like this happened in the bottom ranks of society, perhaps, it doesn't catch the eye of everybody, and that, may be kind of excused. But when it goes right up to the heart of government, and the government does nothing about it, it becomes a big disappointment, which we would hardly want to be associated with. So it is a shame. It is a huge shame. We've got a lot of things. I mean, people now are struggling for salaries. People who can't be paid. The country is apparently broke. My own relative has got her pension, her backdated pension, not paid. And it's been over a year now. If we don't have money, then we can ill afford to spend money where we don't need to spend money. It's just a shame. And I think these things must be stopped.
You think we have our priorities right as a nation in terms of coming from a point of view of government?
No, I don't think so. I think we are more, since I've been back, I noted something, for instance, that if you're in traffic driving, the police, the government officials, or whoever they are in tinted glasses will drive past you. My thing is, because they don't stay with you in traffic, they don't feel what you feel, and they don't care. Our priorities are clearly lopsided, or if we're looking in a mirror, it's some sort of a convex or concave mirror. We don't see what we have to see. And it looks like there is a small cabal in the middle that is growing fat by the day. And there are a lot of people. You see people selling in traffic. It's employment at the end of the day. You can look at both sides. But is it where we want our people to be? Is it how best we could actually employ these people? Can't the government use a lot of these funds that is wasting on air-conditioned rooms and offices and per diem and unnecessary travels to actually turn the lives of our people around? I believe very much that for those of us, especially in government, who think that amassing wealth is the way of the day, we should be careful. Because someday in our high walls with electric fences and everything, the poor people next door will take us over. That is what is going to happen if we don't take care. We must make sure that as we eat and feed our pot bellies, those out there also get something to eat. Other than that, we will live in these houses and these people will take them over. Let's mark our words.
The people in government who have pot bellies will not be very happy with you. But aside that point that has been made, Salam, you agree with him on this issue, focus especially on the JIDA case?
Agobi, sincerely speaking, is an insult to every Ghanaian what's happening with this Gator thing. Coming from the hills of Wyoming, we shouldn't be entertaining and probably even, seeing the sight of this Gator thing.
Okay, if you'd hold on a minute for me. Sule, welcome. Hello, Sule.
Yeah, good evening, boss.
Good evening, Chief. How are you?
My name is Sule calling from Sunyane. You can also choose to call me Ashavin. Brother, why? Are we in campaign trade? Oh, Ghana has already decided their mind. So it seems like you people are sitting down and say this and this, Wyoming and corruption. If Ghanaians didn't like you, why did they vote for you, MPP? And they vote for His Excellency John Dramani Mahama.
Thank you very much for your opinions. You have expressed your voice. But Abdullah, welcome.
Thank you very much, Nana.
Yeah.
I'm Abdullah Ray.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Mr. Salam, greetings. You have peace you in Tamale. It is important that we make it clear for each and every good Ghanaian in this country. when you look at Afarajan in the witness box, it's a very big shame to institutions in this country. I'm saying this because I never knew that Afarajan is Samari. But the day that Afarajan was in the board, I feel embarrassed, not call myself Ghanaian. How are we doing this to ourselves? Let us stop Afarajan and come to where you mean. Do you really have a leadership in this country, my brother?
And it's interesting the way we see it, but thank you very much for your opinions as well. For time's sake, I would pick my next caller. A champion, welcome. Hello, do I have a champion on the line, please? Okay, I'll pick my next caller. Are you there? Could you please lower the volume on your television set, please? Hello?
Hello, good evening.
Good evening.
My name is Yemila calling from Kasua.
Yes, madam.
The earlier caller said that we're doing a campaign on what? We as a citizen, we have the right to discuss about what is going on in this country. So we are not on platform, the political platform. Thank you.
Thank you too very much, and I like the fact that you made it very short. Eliasu, how are you doing?
I'm good, Nana. Good evening, and good evening to your guest in the studio. For me, we must applaud MPP for petitioning the court over the irregularities that engulfed our elections. In order to be extra careful and not be contemptuous, I would have to extend a word of caution to all Ghanaians, especially MPP members, to keep our fingers crossed as we await the verdict. And I'm pretty sure that the evidence that was adduced at the court in the full glare of the Ghanaian people, which everybody saw and heard, I am optimistic that at the end of the day, justice shall prevail and the rightful persons who won the elections will take over, and then the hardships that have been afflicted on the people of this country will be nipped and be kept, and will be nipped in the bud, and then Ghana will take over its position in the committees of nations, and then once more we shall get to the highest heights, and every Ghanaian will feel like being part of the country. No longer are we going to see renaming.
Thank you very, very much for your call. I'll read a couple of the WhatsApp messages that we've gotten, that people should stop hailing President Mills. It is unnecessary as a peaceman. If we were to take notes from our leaders who have contributed greatly to the peace, stability, and democratic development of Ghana, President Mills will be the least to mention. People should stop being mediocre. This is from Joseph Yim. The essence of the 2012 election, which was flawed, marred with irregularities, violations, omissions, and Afarajan has thrown his reputation to the dogs and has exposed himself to the bare dogs during the cross-examination. Victory awaits us, massive and gargantuan. Fuseni Zakaria from Namzoya Savlugu. Please forgive me if I do get the name wrong. From Daniel Intakradi, if we talk of bad losers, it is the NDC who are bad losers. It is unthinkable that they will stay in power because of their deeds. To some of us, God is a true judge, and he will surely judge the NDC and the Electoral Commission. I have another caller on the line. Welcome, Senior. Hello?
Yes, hello?
Yes, sir. Nana, welcome.
Yes. Thank you, sir. You've made me wait for a long time.
I'm very sorry. We have to apologize.
Anyway. Nana, for the result of the Supreme Court verdict, all of us know that is a foregone conclusion. So I want you to update me on the parliamentary petition. You know, I've asked this question before, and you told me you were going to find out and come in and then update us. But you haven't done so. How many seats are in the court? And, update us. Let us know what is going on, because for the presidential, it's a foregone conclusion, and we need the seat. So please update us.
Thank you very much. I will. Adam, welcome.
Yes, Nana.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please, I'm very, very, very happy about your program. Please, you people should keep it up.
Thank you.
Yeah. But I would also like to comment on the issue of people, the whole of the world is watching what Afarajan was doing. Simple question, say yes or no. Then he was beaten about the bush. So everybody saw what was happening. We are in turmoil and we are very grateful about what MPP has done. Please, you people should keep it up. We are behind you.
Thank you too very, very much. Mobashir is complaining that he cannot get through the lines. Mobashir, keep trying. Opoku, welcome.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Tony,
Opoku,
how are you?
by the grace of God, we are well. And you?
Yeah, we thank you so much for the wonderful work you are doing. We always appreciate such a educative and much insightful discourse. We always want panel members like, especially my friend from UK. You are very welcome. Thank you so much for your contribution this evening. God bless you.
Thank you too. I believe what you should have told him was Akwaba, but I have Audo on the line. Audo, how are you?
Yeah, I'm calling Audo Barke, calling from Baku.
Yes, sir. I'm very fine, and say good evening to all the youth of Baku for me. Unfortunately, I have lost them. I wish to use this opportunity to say a special good evening to Alaji Bello and all the youth up in Baku. By the grace of God, we'll see you very soon. Adamu, how are you?
Yeah, good evening, sir.
Good evening, Chief.
This is Adam from Walwale.
Okay, Adam, sorry I got your name mixed up.
Yeah.
You have the floor. You can speak, sir.
Okay. Yeah, in fact, your program is very, very nice and very, 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 very educative. We are hoping that all Ghanaians and all over the world, those who are listening, can make meaning for themselves. In fact, what I think is that MPP is a hero, even if it goes whatever way, because they have been peaceful, they have been patient. In fact, every adjective that you can describe them, I think one will have to use it. In fact, even if you look at the economy now, everything is just going very, very, very bad. Let me tell you that from first term, September 2012 up to date, they have not even given the secondary school their feeding grants. And the president sees there as a northerner. No feeding grants have been released. The schools they are just suffering, my friends.
Okay. Thank you very much. We are conducting very significant investigations into that, and we'll get to those matters in due course. But, however, thank you very much for the opinion that you have expressed. I have a call on the line. How are you, Senior? Hello? Hello, Evans.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening, my senior. How are you?
I'm doing great. How about you?
It is by the grace of God that we are alive.
Very good. I am surprised at the first caller. I don't actually know what didn't cause him to call, given the fact that he's coming from the other end. But what I would say simply is that
God is not asleep, you mean? Hello? Okay, thank you very much. For those of you that do not understand what he said, what he meant is that God is not asleep and that we'll continue to go before him with our supplications and that he indeed will judge our case for us. Osman, welcome.
Yeah, hello, good evening.
Good evening, Chief. How is it?
Fine, thank you. It's always surprising when people keep on saying they want justice, they want justice. Justice in which sense? Is it if the court verdict goes on their way or any other way? Because anybody that will talk, they want justice, and they are claiming justice to be on their side. So does it mean that if the Supreme Court should judge against their side, justice has not been said? That's what I wonder. And if that's the case, then I think NPP has no case.
Unfortunately, I did not get the import of what you were trying to say. It was a lot of platitude, but anyway, you've expressed your opinion. Saidu, welcome. Hello, Saidu. Yeah, welcome. You're on air.
Hello, Demwa.
Yes, sir.
My name is Said Sid, calling
sir.
from Nigeria, Tabarik.
Yes, sir.
I just want to notice the fact that I want Ghanaians to help identify what is going on. You will notice that the economy, the very fathers of the economy are broken, especially agriculture. Why do I say so? Last year, a bag of fertilizer cost 46 cities. This year it started by, it increased to 51, and as I'm speaking to you, to 65 Ghana city. So it means that even ordinary farmers are suffering. So it means that the economy, if we don't do something, if the Supreme Court don't save the people, I'm telling you, we are doomed.
Okay. Thank you very much for that call. Joseph, welcome. Hello.
Thank you, Nana.
Yes, sir.
Hello.
Yes, sir. You have the floor.
Yeah. Okay, thank you very much. And sometimes I wonder, when some people speak, I wonder whether they are part of the creation of God.
Wow.
I mean, look at what is happening in Ghana. Then somebody will have the nerve to come and sit down and be saying, are we in campaign? Look, campaign is not being paid. Even if you go to Parliament, they are complaining. Common aid for officers, they are complaining they don't have. When you go to the judiciary, there are problems there. Health insurance is in arrears. Women who are cooking for our little children, the money is not good. Look, if I were a member of NDC communication team, I would stop attending programs because things are becoming so embarrassing.
Okay.
And yet, people will have the nerve to come and God save Ghana.
God save Ghana indeed, and we pray that God will indeed hear your prayers as well. Ghana has spoken, Salam. These are the opinions of our viewers.
You can see that people are extremely disenchanted with the current economic situation. Indeed, it boils down to how bad the economy has been managed. I don't know, today if you followed news, Parliament is complaining that the committees cannot work because there's no money. The Parliament of Ghana somewhat is broke.
When I remember an MP made that statement and was forced to withdraw.
But today, I think I was listening to Joy on my way here, and it's one of the news items that I listened to. Committees cannot do their work because there's no money. They are broke. That is the situation of the country. We have to go and borrow money from the international market, bonds market, to finance our own budget deficits in
even
Ghana.
that, the interesting piece of news over there is that the 1 billion euro bond that we raised, actually we are getting just 750 million.
Yet we are told that it has been oversubscribed. That is not true.
No, there's a technicality there.
Yes, on the books, yes, you will see an oversubscription of 2.2 billion. But you realize that we are going for 8%, interest. But you have subscriptions that are 15%, 10%. But we cannot take those subscriptions. So on the books, you would see oversubscription. But actual, you will get only 750 that falls within your 8%. But they come and throw flat propaganda to us. Oh, we have been oversubscribed, which shows confidence in the economy. Indeed, if you follow Reuters, they will tell you that investors are scared of buying bonds because they doubt our capacity to pay. Our GDP to debt ratio is growing. We have a large budget deficit. They don't know how we will be able to pay the bonds. They are somewhat scared of our economy. It shows you how badly the economy has been managed. Indeed, the last 3 months to elections, this country spent over 8 billion on what we don't know and ended up with budget deficit of 12%.
12.1 minus arrears. We keep saying that.
Unprecedented in the history of Ghana. 12% deficit. Where are you going with such a country?
Let's go to two texts. So if you are a Ghanaian and you hear this, but you live in the UK and you hear that we're running a deficit of 12.1 with nothing to show for it. Your opinions?
Well, obviously it's scandalous. Because as I said earlier on, we follow events in Ghana because we are very interested in it. People in the diaspora buy houses here, shop here for their family. And therefore, when these things, I mean, they're bandying about inflation rates which do not tie up with the country's own growth rate. And it does appear that we're almost joking with the country. You know, we've got some amateurs and some inexperienced people who just pluck up these figures and think that we must go with them. You know, the basket of goods that is used to measure inflation, for instance, is skewed towards what will give them positive figures or figures that look good. But the average person is struggling. You and I know, and everybody knows, and everybody appreciates that if even you earn 400 cedis a month, what are you going to do with it? And these are the real people. These are the people whom we went to promise that we would give a better life. Do they have a better life now? You know, we are just churning people in. Now we are taxing. I mean, it was laughable when I heard that they were taxing condoms. I know there's a twist about it. Oh, we're not taxing luxurious condoms. What is a luxurious condom? It's rubbish. You know, you are so desperate that you will do these things. There are 1,000,001 ways in Ghana for us to actually raise taxes or raise income for the government. And one, I believe, is underpinned by being able to identify each Ghanaian with a number. That is what the great visionary leadership we had under J. Kufuor brought. The national identification system. Because if you cannot identify Kweku Mensah who lives in Cape Coast from Kweku Mensah who lives in Ho, you are joking. You are not going to be able to tell how many people you are feeding. You are not going to be able to tell how many people are going to your health facilities. It is just not possible until our country gets to the stage where we can identify ourselves. Where the man in Abosokai, fortunately or unfortunately, is identified through a formal system and therefore pays taxes, whether he imports goods or he sells in Abosokai, we are joking. We are not moving. You know, but funnily enough, it does appear that the upper class within the opposite party enjoy or benefit from this nonsense that exists of a situation. And because of that, there's absolutely no edge at all to change it. But if we don't move on that, we are never going to grow.
If we don't move on that, we're never going to grow. And we are going to have to learn to take some of these hard, bitter pills as a nation as we go along. Your closing comments, to Texan.
Well, thank you very much for having me on. And obviously to my members in Birmingham, Hafiz, Mubashar, who couldn't get through, Jabba and the lot who have supported and helped this great party of us in the Midlands to actually mobilize and help back home. We are thankful that we've had this representation and we have been able to say something to our brothers back home. We are with you. We are fighting with you. We know you're struggling. We know you're suffering. The only thing we would say is we've put our trust and faith much in those of the justices of the Supreme Court. We believe that the right thing will be done, and once the right thing has been done, and we've got Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo as our president, things will change. It is bad as it is, but we will change Ghana for the better.
We will change Ghana for the better. Salam.
Let me say we are very appreciative of the efforts, the support of our foreign branches. They've been doing a good job for us, and I would say we thank you guys so much, and we hope that you will not relent and the support would keep coming all the time. Again, I think that our address is ready. Inshallah, tomorrow by the close of day, we will file our address. We all should keep faith. Inshallah, we will make it.
Amen. We all should keep faith. Inshallah, we'll make it. My name is Nana Kofi Opondam. I've been in the studio with O2 Texan, who is the chairman of MPP United Kingdom Midlands section of it, and Salam Mustafa, a very popular face on this platform. For me, we keep saying this, that whatever religion that you believe in, no matter what it is that you do, every night before you go to sleep, lift up a prayer unto the good God and tell him that we need peace in Ghana and that he should set us free from the bondage that we find ourselves in. Until we meet again on this very sad note, because it's a very sad day for all our pockets, good evening and good night.